Here's the filet that I cooked in a 200 and 225 degree oven for about 10-15 minutes. I brought it up to a little bit over 100 degrees. I want to keep this about rare to mid-rare. As you can see, I mean, this is ugly right here. It's really just set the exterior. Got a carbon steel pan here, blazing hot. Just hit it with a bit of ghee, which is your clarified butter, and I'm going to sear this, okay, on all sides now. In this pan, this is gonna give it, make sure I get the nice high heat on these little butane burners. These things are fun to use. So get the nice sear on here. Once again, this is gonna sear a lot quicker than it would if we threw it in raw, because now I've released a lot of the moisture from the exterior, so it's going to be a quicker sear because it's more dried out, right? Nothing can brown in the presence of steam. So as this gets a nice beautiful sear on the outside, our mustard butter is just sitting, waiting. It wants to just slather this thing up. It is the, you know, the formal gown pre-prom, if you will. This smoke is just, actually this is beautiful. This is the type of smoke that I love getting, a little bit of that toasted meat fat in there. All right, so we're going to, look at that. I mean, just, yep, there we go. We got that beautiful sear. I'll flip this over. I mean, see how quickly we sear that meat now that it's already been cooked in the oven? Kind of get this just cooking around on all sides. So I'll get the sear, the hard sear, and then from there, I'll lower the heat a little bit, and then I'm going to add just some cold whole butter, fresh thyme, sage. I want some of those kind of rich, herbaceous, you know, winter flavors in there, those heartier herbs, and then I'm gonna baste it with that butter, and we're gonna pull it, and we're going to slather it with our maple mustard butter as that sits and rests. I will let this rest for probably 15 to 20 minutes before I slice into it. Otherwise, all the juices are gonna run out of the meat. Now I've seared this on the outside. I'm gonna throw in my fresh thyme, sage, cold butter, lots of cold butter, okay? What this is gonna do is that it's gonna bloom that thyme and that sage. I mean, it's just basically gonna deep fry in there. And then we're gonna use some of this butter just to kind of finish the steak as it finishes cooking. Now it's really perfuming the meat right here. And if you guys had smell-o-vision, you could pick this up right now. It is absolutely delicious. Just a nice baste over the top. Remember, we're finishing this with the bacon mustard butter, so we're gonna get a ton of extra flavor at the end as well. We just wanna bring this up to a little bit past rare. Filet, tenderloin, it's really one of the only meats that I like to eat rare or on the mid-rare side. I'm not a huge fan. Every single cut of meat needs to cook differently. So everybody who's like, oh, well, I just want to eat my meat rare. A lot of meat, you need to break down some of those connective tissues, and you don't necessarily want to eat it straight rare. But since the tenderloin has obviously no connective tissue in there, it is the most tender cut of meat on the animal. You can eat this rare. Unless, of course, you're chopping it up. I mean, steak tartare is great off the top. Brown steak tartare is great off of a lot of different cuts of meat. But burgers are ground, hence the reason you can eat it at rare as well. You're talking about tenderness here. All right, look at that. So we're just getting a nice, beautiful baste on there as this butter browns, as the thyme and the sage browns into the butter. I mean, this right here is flavor country. We are going to finish this out for maybe another 10 or 15 seconds. Set it on the cutting board, baste it in that bacon mustard butter, and then we're gonna let it sit before we slice it. All right, I think that's good. We'll turn this puppy off, okay? Now, I'm just gonna push the little stovetop to the side there. I'm gonna take this filet and just throw it right onto the cutting board. Whoa, there we go. Take the filet, put it right on the cutting board. I've got the bacon mustard butter, and I'm just going to just slather that over the top as this rests. And then I'm gonna finish a little bit at the end with each individual slice for my guests as they arrive, my imaginary friends, my imaginary guests. Oh my gosh. So what's happening right now is that all of the heat from this filet and the butter, it's emulsifying, and the shallots and the flavors from the mustard butter are blooming into the meat. And if you knew what this smelled like right now, everybody would be passing out as they watch this, as I'm actually on the verge of doing, as it's so beautiful and delicious. I'll stick this off to the side, and then we're gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes before we slice it, because the last thing we wanna do is ruin our meat by slicing it too early and having all those tasty red juices just bleed right on out.